Andrey, a legend of the Russian internet, who will start with a show that he recently did in Moscow in a conference which hosted not 100 people, but over 1,000. Thank you, Andrey.
Over 2,000, actually.
2,000, actually.
Okay, as Bernard said already, it's a long day. It's technically one of the longest days of the year because it's summer solstice. Hopefully it will be also very joyful and very useful and very rich in all other experiences day for you. But what I would like to start with is not products. We will turn to products literally in 40 minutes. But in the beginning, it's really important to keep in mind that all that products are all the results, all the success stories we will share with you today are based on really bleeding edge technology developed inside Yandex. And sometimes instead of, showing these huge and absolutely unreadable schemes littered with absolutely strange words, it's better to give you an example which is more emotional than rational, but maybe that's why it will work. So let me start with this show. So that was how 3 weeks ago we opened our yet another conference. It's a traditional marketing technology conference arranged by Yandex in Moscow. And we started it with this music because behind this music there is a really beautiful mathematics and really fantastic modern technology. These guys, Alexey Tikhonov and Vanya Yemshikov, they decided to teach our Yandex neural networks how to write classical music. The problem is that to write music which will be fun for other geeks or for other engineers is not a big problem, actually. They will be excited just by the fact that it is written by a machine. But what we did, we came with this music to the Museum of Alexander Scriabin, famous Russian composer. And the music was written under... It's difficult to use words about neural networks. Okay, the network was taught on music by Scriabin. And we showed it to the people who are fans of Scriabin, who just keep his legacy, who are professional musicians, composers, far from any technologies. And it was a really crash test. could we offer them something that they will recognize as a real Scriabin music? They did. Of course, they knew that it is not Scriabin, but they confirmed that it is absolutely Scriabin style, that it's inspiring, that they want to play it, and they did. And that was not just illustration, what it was a real sample of how modern world works, of how world in which you operate works. It's a combination of smart people and smart machines. All the products you will be hearing today later are really smart and have huge amount of machine learning, deep neural networks, artificial intelligence, whatever else behind them, under the hood of them. But the result is a success story in the one only case. If there is really talented team consisting of our guys working behind the products, you, your colleagues in Yandex who work with you, adjusting the products for your specific needs, that can create unique, powerful, and very successful stories. Yes, and this example with music is actually the best story about marketing, because marketing is just one another creative activity. And that creative activity can be now be empowered by all these smart machines, all this machine learning. You will hear about machine learning all the day today, not because it's a buzzword we have to use, no. It's because no modern product can be built without it. And that's not only the story only about Yandex. You may have heard that last year Albert made quite a fuss about replacing some stupid marketing agencies. And yes, it was a success story. I suggest you to, if you never heard about it, do read about it, because they really work with all these things that are topics we are going to discuss today: targeting, cross-channel execution, optimization of campaigns, of course, analytics and insights, and lots of that can be done now automatically. But that is just a tool. It can be done automatically by people who give very specific, very precise orders to these automatical tools who control them, and these people are you. It's just one of Albert's cases, but let's go back to Russia. I will shortly remind you the story I was telling from the stage nearby a year ago. Russia is surprisingly diverse country, not in terms you can see, not only in terms that Berlin is or any other European countries. There is diversity of people, of styles, of hairdresses, of whatever else. But when it comes to the internet, there's not so much choices for biggest services here in most European countries. When it comes to, say, search, it's Google. When it comes to social networks, it's Facebook. Russia is surprisingly diverse, so that you cannot use only Google or only Yandex. You have to combine them and use both for your campaigns, because people do search on both systems. Yes, they use Yandex more frequently, but still they do use Google a lot. And if you are used to Facebook marketing, that will not work in Russia unless you add VK or OK ВКонтакте and Одноклассники, because Facebook is far from being the most popular social network in Russia. And that is true not only for these two large areas of internet activities, search and social networking. The same story is for any other area or hub on the online activities. If it's e-commerce, there is a choice. If it's online payments, there is a choice of systems you can use. If it's movies, and you will listen today to interesting presentation about how Kinopoisk works, Russian, it's not Russian IMDb, it's much more than IMDb in Russia. And music streaming, yes, we don't have Spotify, what a pity, but we do have those three. And what is really important, it's the fact that inside all these hubs, there are Yandex services. It's not because I emphasize that, not because I want to boast how diverse is Yandex, no. I'm showing that on a very practical reason. All these machine learning, all these smart products depends on data. And the more different spheres, different areas of human activity online we cover, the more data we can collect, so then later we use them in our targeting, in our products, in all smart things that we do, and we do for you and with you. And it's only the small part of all Yandex projects, services, and this is also not a full list of what Yandex can do, but still impressive enough. And that's actually very nice to have a chance to tell you that you will hear not only about search and our commercial products, but you will hear, as I told you, about our entertainment products like Kinopoisk and Afisha. You will be listening to excellent presentation by our discovery engine guru, Vita Lambert, and he will be telling about Zen. And again, I repeat that all that is not just advertising of Yandex services. It's advertising of our ability to have the richest sets of data across different activities, across different platforms, across different moods of people who use something online due to all this wide spectrum of Yandex products. On the other hand, since we have so many platforms, since we have so many services, most of them are also inventory. On many of them, we can show your advertising, and that is also good for you. So, just let me remind you again that all this is possible. Being present into all major activity hubs on the net is possible due to the fact that we have local technology. We don't depend on any outside technologies. We developed all core things inside Yandex in-house. We have huge amount of local data pouring into our servers from all these, I don't know, hundreds of millions of devices, and also operating in Russia for, what, 20-something years. We have lots of experience of working in accord with Russian rules, which are sometimes a little bit complicated, to say the least. So, let me remind you general words and terms which we are proud of and which we constantly use in our presentations, materials, whatever else. First and foremost, we rely on machine learning technology, and the most known name for our machine learning technology is MatrixNet, and it was developed initially for the search. It now is combined with our most modern achievements in deep neural networks, and it helps us to keep the largest fraction of search in Russia, over 55% at the moment. And also it is used for many advertising technologies because MatrixNet is not just machine intelligence. It's machine intelligence mostly based on human inputs. Because whatever people do, especially when they do something on Yandex services, we can monitor that so that we understand, in, say, case of search, which links they do like and which they don't. It's not the efforts of search engine marketeers what affects our search, but actions of tens of millions of our users who cannot be fooled by all these sometimes dirty optimization tricks. We see what people really like, where they do go to read something, to order something online, to do something online. And we do see which links they really hate, because they immediately come back and click on the next result, on one more result, and so on. So they went somewhere and left immediately because they really didn't find what they were looking for. And yes, this is a very simple and understandable example, but we measure hundreds of parameters of user behavior online, and that makes us, that empowers us to make more personalized, more smart products by the day. Yes, machines are learning every single day, every single moment, even right now, because right now, thousands of people do some clicks, enter some search queries at Yandex, watch some movies, listen to streaming music, and so on, and they generate all these signals, and all that is accumulated and makes, by the day, our algorithms and our machines smarter and smarter. One of the really important for our advertising activities scripts, or not actual scripts, projects, technologies, is Crypto. Crypto, again, will be mentioned many, many times today. It's the technology which allows us to know the interests of almost every user. We are not a social network. We don't have formal users' profiles, because nobody informs Yandex about his or her age, interests, friends, connections. But that doesn't matter, because people do so many things that we see at Yandex that we, fortunately, not knowing something really personal, like address or a name, know a lot about what this person cares for, what he or she likes, what he or she likes to read, where he or she likes to spend vacation, how much he or she is interested in purchasing a new car, for example. And all that makes our communication, marketing communication, which is what we offer you, more smart, more individual, and finally, much more efficient. Because all these traditional targeting by just using social demographics, sorry, that's outdated. What else? Then there is Disco. Disco, yes, we do use it in our music services, but the name comes not from a music style, it comes from the word discovery. It's another smart computer engine which let us offer users something new in the area they are interested in. Music is just a good example. If you listen to Yandex Musica or Yandex Radio, then Disco finds out, understands your taste, and start offering you something new, which is not just formally the style you like. No, it's something that may be in a different style, but somehow these smart algorithms really know what you are looking for, what you are dreaming of, even if you never showed it openly. That's the smartness. And they generate recommendations, offers, and something which keeps you interesting, that increases in our marketing terms, increases the time you spend on services, increases the share of your attention you pay to Yandex. And that is good for us because if we use equally smart advertising, it doesn't annoy people. No, they like it. Data. I keep repeating, and all the people after me will be repeating that many more times. The fact that we have so diverse sources of data make our algorithms unique and extremely efficient. Because however smart the algorithm is, if it has not enough data to work on, it's useless. And we have data generated by the people. We have data generated by devices, because in many cases, like in our geo services, you are just, what? Keep quiet, please. Okay, so if you say are using Yandex Maps while driving, it keeps sending your position in order to inform other drivers about traffic situation. But that means that your device sends us some data without your human input. And it's just an example. So that's why there are different icons for real human input, our own mindful actions, and actions or information streams generated by our devices. And of course, there are lots of our partners because what will be a good example? Oh, transport. We have special apps which show people, in big cities of course, what is the time of the next bus to arrive to your stop. But to get all this data, of course, we need to cooperate with bus companies, transport companies. Our taxi service cooperates, it's actually integrator of lots of taxi cab services. And all these partner services also send us streams of data. Tens of hundreds of e-commerce sites sends us updated streams of what they have in stock. And all this data also are very useful for our algorithms to predict not only what human wants, but what they can actually get, because we know that from our partners. And sometimes all these data shows just what happens around, because you know, unexpected traffic jam may be a signal that something happened in this area of the town and you better avoid it when you're planning your evening or something else. So these three sources are very important because we have, again, the largest audience of one of the largest, okay, mail.ru has approximately the same size. We have one of the largest audiences of Russian internet users. We have tens of millions of devices where Yandex software communicates with Yandex. And we have tens of thousands of partners who also send us some information, of course, in exchange for some of our services, but that's why they are partners. And that means that we have really rich data to build our decisions, to build our products, to build our predictions upon. But let's get back a little bit to the computer machine learning, machine intelligence, artificial intelligence, and all that modern stuff. I was telling about smart services based on personalization. You will listen many more detailed examples of these smart services later in the day. But besides these smart services, there is some universal aspects of using machine learning and machine intelligence in modern online services. It's interfaces. Many years ago, and actually a few years ago as well, there was a very popular expression. you need to make something machine readable. Because the picture must be machine readable so that machine can understand that. In the early days of search, for example, you could search for pictures only if there was a text next to this picture. Otherwise, computer have no idea what is in this picture. Not anymore. Now, machines can see, understand what they see, being it text or image or video, the meaning of what is present in the video on the picture, or what does this string of words mean. And that makes smart interfaces much more human-like. And yes, now you can talk. Actually, who of you, please raise your hands, those who tried to talk to your smartphones? Wow. Okay. I'm surprised that not every single person raised a hand, but be sure that you will do it too. If you are not doing it now, you will sooner rather than later find out that talking to your smartphone, asking, I don't know, your home assistant do something for you is a more efficient way rather than type something. So that changes interaction of people and machines. And of course, Yandex is very active in this area as well, because we do understand that maybe next year, maybe year after the next, we will be presenting you some products which are completely voice-based and are based on interaction between computer and human being, between Yandex and Yandex user, by voice, by smiles, whatever else, without any verbal input or output. So these interfaces also are the future. You will not perhaps hear lots about them today, but be sure that we're working on it, and that very soon, you just keep in mind that very soon you will take into account voice communication with your clients through computer interfaces. That's not much used now in modern marketing. It will have to in the very close future. But let me show just one example, which is a combination of well-known words for you and the modern approach to it. We are used to cookies, okay? We often even report our success or the lack of that by the numbers. Oh, we demonstrated this ad to 1 million people. Actually, statistics show you to how many cookies you demonstrated that, to how many browsers, to how many opportunities to see whatever else. It's not humans. And here is a good example in numbers why this matters, to look for humans now online. In this connected world with lots of devices, screens, gadgets, we need to find a way to interact with a human and not with a device, because they are not mapped on each other easily. So we had to develop what we called the concept of a digital trace. And digital trace is something which is combined on traditional technologies, machine learning technologies, lots of factors we know about a person, like email address and phone number, or browser ID, lots of different things, so that we can match several devices which are used by a person during a day or during a month, because then the number of devices becomes even larger, and on the other hand, unmatch those devices, those software pieces like browser, that can be used by several people, like an open computer with the same login at home, for example. What is the result of this complicated mechanism in numbers? We, as Yandex, know about 1 billion cookies for Russia. But sorry, the entire population of Russia, including babies and really old people who do not use computers at all, is just 145 million. So how can we get this 1 billion cookies? Because when you apply all these smart filtering algorithms, you find out that 700 million out of a billion are anonymous users, are single-day cookies, are robots. Because there are lots of automatic programs surfing the net for different purposes. So finally, we have only 300 million real cookies. However, it's still a lot more than there are people. And then we start these smart matching procedures. And then we have something. This something we call crypto ID. That's not a personal profile in a traditional sense. There is no personal information in a legal sense. But we are really sure that these 60 million crypto IDs can be mapped theoretically, but never are mapped practically to real people. So they are digital trace of 60 million real people doing something online, on mobile devices, on big computers, on the web, or just playing computer games, doesn't matter. We have these online traces, digital traces, for 60 million crypto IDs. And we can then enrich these IDs, which we just take from browser activities, by all other data available to us. It can be CRM data uploaded by our partners, clients. It can be geodata obtained from devices which are frequently used by the owners of this crypto ID, or their search intents if they use Yandex for search extensively. And then that makes each crypto ID more and more valuable, because we know more about this still technically anonymous person. But for the purpose of marketing communication, we know more and more very valuable information. And then, when it comes to marketing communication, we also can use service Yandex Audience. I think you will be hearing about it today more, or if you don't, you can ask our people at the tables, as Bernard told you already, that we can enrich that by offline data from, say, CRMs, from emails, geolocations, and other things, so that finally we have lots of segments. Segments which can be generated only by smart machine algorithms. That cannot be done manually. Just look at the numbers. Not many. We don't have as many hands to manually generate thousands of segments. And this segment may be just mothers of small kids, owners of a used car in a certain price range, whatever else. Those are segments which can be used for really precise and very efficient targeting. And yes, we can do this targeting not very precise. We can do it cross anything. It's important that we can do it cross products, as I told you. Because of wide range of Yandex products, we can do it not only on search, which is sort of traditional. Oh, Yandex is Google of Russia. Much more than just Google, because we are, sort of Spotify of Russia, Amazon of Russia, or whatever else. So you can communicate with your clients on music, on search, on, I don't know, Yandex Market, or search for video. And all these places let you have the context of this communication well adjusted to what is current mood and current intention of a person using Yandex. On the other hand, we can communicate with persons cross-device. And that is also important because very often you start this communication while someone was using a smartphone on the way home. But then coming back home, this person may sit at a laptop. Okay, you continue your communication cross-device smoothly because it's the same crypt ID and the same person, we know that. So this just switching from one device to another doesn't break or just deteriorate your communication. It's smooth. So all these cross-products and cross-devices as a part of continuous communication strategy are possible, again, only due to modern technologies, cutting-edge technologies developed inside Yandex. Oh, and if you want to enrich or to enlarge this segment, if you want to address not only the audience you can describe in a very fixed terms or which you can upload to Yandex from your CRM, for example. Now we can easily, technologically, find people similar to those who are your target audience. Because technology of lookalike, again based on machine learning, lets us find among all these tens of millions of our users people who are similar in their intents, in their purchasing ability, whatever else, to the people who you do know. And that looks really promising, and we do it actually, you know. I am actually slightly different from most of the people from Yandex who are present here, because all these people, they mostly make money. You know, they generate money for Yandex by selling products to you, by selling products to all our other customers. I do not make money, I spend them. Because I'm in marketing division, and I spend Yandex money to attract more people to use our services. And that's why I have to use all our marketing tools also. Use them to address people who maybe are not using Yandex actively enough, to explain them how good we are, how useful. At least give us a try. So I know from my own experience that using, for example, technology of lookalike, I surprisingly could save lots of money on traditional marketing research. Because traditional marketing research, it's if you want to find interests of and qualitative marketing research, if you want to find interests of a really small group, fantastically expensive. Because recruiting a panel may cost you, well, more than any sales to this group. Not anymore, because you can, by just vaguely describing what these people are, you can then find, just describe them, say, as an audience of a certain site on the internet. Then you can ask our algorithms, okay, I want the audience similar to people who these at least 3 times a month, these 2 sites. And that's a very good description for certain segments of audience I'm interested in. And yep, I have all of them immediately. That's why lookalike then let me ask these questions online, ask these people questions online, or show them some advertising about our news online. So lookalike is really, you know, magic wand for a marketeer. And we have trained our algorithms on lots of previous campaigns, so that now we have 26,000 of different segments of what, and in each of these segments, people are alike. What unites them? You can find descriptions from our stuff or what characterizes each one of these 26,000 segments. So I'm almost done. I think that the goal of modern advertising you can now read on the screen. Yes, we would like to build consistent communication across anything that can be used for this communication, even including, you know, outdoor billboards. Yeah, we started to work with them because they are becoming digital, and the moment something is becoming digital, it's becoming sphere of our intense interest. And yes, we can cooperate with our partners, whatever else. So we want this universal, hate this term, 360 degrees communication across all media, all channels, and speaking in our marketeers' terms, all levels of purchase funnel. And we now almost do it. Of course, there is always a huge space for improvement. But nonetheless, there is lots of things that we know how to do now. You will be listening about them all the day. And again, the purpose of this presentation was just to remind you, all that is based on cutting-edge technology and on technology which is evolving all the time, which is improving every single day because these machines keep learning. That's what is good about them. It's not that next update make our products better. No, it's a continuous process. It's improving by the second, by every single action of tens of millions of our users. So keep this in mind, that you are working with a really smart machine, getting smarter by the day, and with smart people who will explain how this machine works for you. Thank you.